chance. Just a matter of time, never look back. If something standing in my way, I always push back. If something seemed impossible, I never took that. Nah, cause now I know better. Can't stop, won't stop, I won't quit ever. As far as won't take me, the highest fall, it won't break me. The blood and sweat is what made me, made me. I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.
Today's matchup. BBQ Olivers. Gen.G. SK Telecom T1. Afrika Freaks. The Fantastic Run.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, LCK Summer 2018. We're back at OGN. I'm Atlas. This is, of course, Papa Smithy, as it is every single day. And we're at the very end of the season, so every single game means something. It doesn't even matter who's playing.
It's business end of the season, Atlas.
It's
what we all live for. It means that every game has standings, implications. You look at the names, you think BBQ Olivers versus Gen.G. Maybe I give this one a skip. Whatever team you support, the result of today will impact where you fall. Gen.G, they're shooting for top. If they win 2-0 against 10th place BBQ, they will actually leapfrog to second because they own the head-to-head against Kingzone Dragon X. So if you're excited about that race, if you want to know how many best of fives your team has to play at the top or even at the bottom, if you're a BBQ fan, you'll find out soon.
Yeah, if you're a BBQ fan, they still have an opportunity to escape relegation somehow. The race for that 8th spot is super coveted. Jin-Air, MVP, they're both locked at the moment, but BBQ aren't out of the race just yet. So if they can win here, they can certainly take it, but it's going to be a difficult one. And I want to talk about BBQ just a little bit because you have a look at their history and you're like, oh, 0-2 to KT. That doesn't actually mean a 0-2 to KT. That series was much closer than it looks like on paper.
I don't know about you, but I went to the post-game thread. Something about immaculate macro, fantastic performance, just another masterclass by KT from what I remember. So I don't know what you're talking about, Atlas, but let's talk about something that has changed.
Yeah.
We got a new patch for OGN. We saw the debut yesterday. It was good old patch 8.14. Some of the notes more important than the others. Aatrox's power, it's more back-ended now. His early levels have been nerfed. His late game is actually better. Still seeing him banned all the time. Zombie Ward took a big nerf. I think people are overusing this, and we only see it maybe once a game, but I think it's actually pretty rubbish at the moment. The Ghost Borrow is actually pretty powerful, and I'm really tracking to see how many people use this new rune that give you a lot of power in the early game.
Yeah, we saw yesterday, actually, a few people dabbling with the Ghost Borrow, seeing whether they can get that over the other side of the map and get themselves free stats. Having a look at the buffs, though, we've already seen Karma make her way back into the LCK now that she's been changed just a little bit. The shielding nerfs did strike her down just a bit more than we wanted to, so now having a little bit more AoE on your Q feels a little bit better.
These small changes, remember, one of the small changes was the Orianna buff that has meant that she is now kind of first pick, first ban. You're looking at Victor, Corki, Vel'Koz. I think they're the big changes. Ari might situation you see play.
I think Ari's buff's actually pretty
Orianna
big.
Especially. We'll talk about it more if we do see it. Looking at the nerfs here, no one's really forced out. Shen's laning phase quite a lot worse with the Q nerf. Looking at the other changes, the big one, of course, is around the funnel.
Yeah.
The fun has been taken away. Now you basically, with the Monster Hunter debuff, just don't see funnel anymore, or mid lane smite. It's being adjusted again on patch 8.15. I think this is a very ham-fisted nerf and actually hurts junglers at almost every point in the game. But it's going to be adjusted soon. The teleport nerf, we still saw a lot of it yesterday, but the meta on day 1 of 8.14 won't necessarily be the meta on the final day of 8.14. given the times, it seems like 8-14 will actually be there till the end of the regular season. We don't know about postseason patch. But for the rest of this season, seems like the funnel is gone.
Yeah, and Talon's gone as well. I mean, the rate getting nerfed, you spoke about this yesterday, but damn, having no smite availability either in that mid lane to really abuse that level 2. Very, very early on in the laning phase, Talon is basically useless.
We saw a ban against Lava on the Talon. That would have been just a mid lane ignite
I was very
Talon.
confused when that happened.
It still is compositionally possible, but I don't think it's worth running. Looking at the MVP rankings, even though Khan was subbed out after game 1, he still is currently the MVP leader. I would say the chances of Khan winning it are going down and down with Rascal playing games.
Yeah.
And there's still enough matches left in the season. The Lava, Ucal, Viper, and a host of other players at 700 points could pip him right at the last.
Yeah, and all of these mid laners catching up to Khan in that top spot. Khan played fantastically well during the beginning of the season, and then since Rift Rivals, it has been a little bit of a cascade. And having a look at the KDA rankings, finally, it's not brought to you by Griffin, as Smeb has really shot up as far as the top lane.
Looks handsome in his picture as well.
Damn right he does.
Smeb doing Smeb things. Keen second. I think Keen has been the best player in the LCK since Rift Rivals. He's been unbelievable, even if his team has been losing pretty frequently. We will see him in our second series, Keen versus Tal, maybe one of the few ways that a FLICKR Freaks can take down SKT, who are in wonderful form at the moment. Swords KDA in the toilet a bit recently, like you're mentioning.
Yeah, struggling a little bit. However, Tarzan, this guy has still been playing like an absolute god, somehow able to outpath players like Score and Peanut around the map.
That's his reaction shot to someone making fun of his Elise
yeah,
game.
exactly.
He's
No, it's
come
a reaction
on.
shot to him not getting an MVP again.
Well, his Elise game was pretty bad.
That
Maybe
was-
less
that
Elise.
was really bad.
Back
That
on the
was
pathing
definitely
junglers, please. Tarzan blank shooting up. Might be second overall for the season. Chovy well held in the mid lane yesterday, but still going to have that big KDA. I think we can hand the season KDA award to Chovy, even though there's still weeks left of games. No one's getting past 9.
Yeah, it's not looking like they're going to be able to double their KDA over the last few games, so let's give that one over to Chovy. 9.0 at the end of a season is pretty ludicrous, to be perfectly honest, especially for the young gun like the man in the mid lane for Griffin. Have to say, did like Rather's play yesterday, though. His Orianna did look a little bit better than that of Chovy's, as we're going to continue down the Griffin list, as Viper, of course, able to lock that one down in the awesome dude / AD carry position, has been transitioning back to actually shooting people. But having Sangyun up there is really huge. Bang also demonstrating exactly why SKT are making a late surge here this season.
And thank you very much, the scheduling gods. We're going to actually have a match between Bang and Aiming to get rid of this 2 decimal place
Yeah, there's
situation.
too many decimal places. And that's so close as well, even after you go there.
And that's why. And that's why we had to have a match. We had to change the schedule just to get rid of this KDA. Thank you very much. Get those guys adjusted. Lahens will be topping the support rankings. Again, the Griffin guys right up the top. But if KT Rolster win their next series, they will actually be above Griffin, whatever the scoreline. So whether Griffin will actually be waiting in that final, whether it will be KT and even some of the other teams like Kingzone Dragon X, they're sniffing around the top. Nothing is for sure, and we only have 8 days left of Korean League of Legends for the regular season.
Yeah, we're going to have a look at it right now. This is absolutely ridiculous. The top 4, 1 match score, the difference between all of these teams. You can see game score is going to be very important. You spoke about the fact that Griffin and KT, very, very close. Even if that game score is even head-to-head, belongs to KT. So that top spot, looking like KT Rolster should be able to lock it down if they can manage to take down the lower place teams that they have left in their schedule.
And it's not a guarantee, but it feels like top 4 is going to be these teams in some order, and then 5th is the real big fight between Afrika, Hanwha, and SKT. It's not mathematically locked in, but by schedules, we should see more victories coming in. 12 victories guarantees you playoffs with where teams are at the moment. So Griffin could have locked themselves yesterday, weren't able to do so. They could still free fall, but unlikely to free fall out of top 5. The order is all over the place, and we have one of those top 4 teams playing in our first series. But first, let's talk about the BBQ Olivers, who have had a much better second round robin. How could it get any worse? They were 0-9 after the first round robin. They've cemented on their roster. Trick has been very good in the second round robin, even if it hasn't always been. for BBQ Oliver's victories, and when Tempt gets his ear, more often than not, good things do happen.
And if you look back at last time these two teams faced, it was Tempt managing to pick up a game win on the Yasuo in the mid lane as well. Also, I think Crazy had one of his best series ever up against Cuvée the last time BBQ Olivers met Gen.G. It was a long time ago. It was early on in the first round robin. But BBQ Olivers now with a little bit of steam in the tanks. We'll see whether they can take down Gen.G, because we saw Jinner yesterday playing spoiler against Griffin. This could happen once again here today with BB.
I mean, the good news about the LCK, whatever game you tune into, there are no free wins. No one is rolling over and dying after Jinner and BBQ have picked up 6 match wins between the two of them in the past month or so. Gen.G on the other side are coming off that loss. Last time out to SK Telecom T1, a surprise loss, but a confirmation that SKT is back. Gen.G roll in. Ambition will actually return to the starting lineup. Haru played game 2 and 3 of that series. I imagine slow and steady wins the race will be the approach from Gen.G. But if you fall far enough behind, if Trick has an inspired early game, who's to say that BBQ Olivers couldn't pick up at least a game win against Gen.G?
Yeah, and we'll see what BBQ Olivers' read on this 8.14 patch is going to be as well. They might be throwing some spanners into the works. We know Ignar and Trick like to mix things up, definitely. But the rest of the team as well have been able to adapt relatively well. And if you talk about adaptation, it's not necessarily the Gen.G way. They play Gen.G League of Legends, doesn't matter what the patch is.
Crown was so sure he'd be playing today. He went to the coach and said, look at this Victor buff, it's time.
Yeah.
Sadly, we will not see Crown in game number 1. And you know what? Fly is also a well-known Victor player. So I would love to see some Victor today. I think he's pretty good. Looking at the history, when we went into Rift Rivals, there was a game victory for BBQ. Nothing really else to talk about since Rift Rivals. They've beaten Jinner and Afrika back-to-back, taking game wins of SKT and Hanwha Live. KT Rolster, it was a 2-0 loss, but like you were mentioning, Atlas,
it ain't a clean one.
Could have been a 2-1, could have been a longer series for sure. Gen.G were on the up after Rift Rivals, but then brought down to earth by KT Rolster and SKT. No one is really fully convincing as the best team in Korea right now after Griffin lost yesterday to Jinner. Gen.G cannot actually make themselves first with a match victory, but because they have a 2-0 against Kingzone, with a 2-0 victory today, they can go above Kingzone to second.
They can, and we'll see whether Gen.G are going to be able to do that against BBQ. All signs point to yes, even the KDAs, as you can see. Tempt trying to do his best here for BBQ, but unable to get over the top of Fly, and this is a team that has been playing very, very well as we move into the back end of the season. The victory over Griffin was one of my favorite series of all time. It was a 2-0 in favor of Gen.G. If you haven't seen it, guys, go back and watch it. It was absolutely amazing. And Cuvée, I have a feeling we're going to be having a bit of a focus on the top side of the map because Cuvé's Gnar was absolutely amazing. We saw yesterday the Gnar priority certainly still there. And we'll see whether it is just going to be GP Gnar up there today.
My issue with Gen.G for the longest time, since they were Samsung Galaxy onwards, is it always feels like at one point there might be 3 bans and then someone's banned out because they play about 4 champions a roll. So you always worry that someone's going to get found out and you're never sure who it will be. For Gen.G, they have this weird scenario where Ruler dying lost them that series a couple of weeks ago, and historically, this has been a good matchup for Gen.G, but history has really mattered so little in summer of 2018. Anything can happen in this season. As of yesterday, we just had matches that had never gone one way or the other, and things can change. Let's see if Gen.G find the 2-0 to make themselves second. I think BBQ will make them work for their victory.
I think so too. I have a feeling that we're going to go to 3 games in this series. I know it feels like Gen.G should have this one in the bag, but sometimes you just get that feeling in your waters. And you can see the matchups that they've got left. BBQ, of course, having a real tough run. Still Kingzone and Griffin to take down our teams on 10 and 11 match wins, respectively, up against the measly 2 that BBQ have been able to pick up. And on the other side, Gen.G just have to take care of the bottom of the table.
But because it's Jinner and MVP, and neither of them will be locked for relegations by the time those matches happen, you best believe Jinner and MVP are going to be playing super hard. They have something to play for. So they're not the free wins there might be in another season when their fates will be locked by the end of the season. No, they're actually fighting each other. So their results against Gen.G might actually just influence game score, whether they win or lose, and thus affect who goes to relegations and who sits in 8th. So The competition will continue. Speaking of the competition continuing, the AD carry of the LCK has been Ruler. 0 awesome dude games. His entire champion pool basically is shown on screen. The Kog'Maw we haven't been a fan of, but situationally can work. The Varus priority will still be pretty high, but Ezreal, Ashe, Xayah, that's where his eyes have been at most of the season.
And also was where both of the victories were at for Gen.G last time they faced against BBQ. It was Xayah Rakan that managed to lead them through in the 2 game wins that they did have in that series, so going to be looking towards that one. We'll see whether the quickness nerf on the Rakan is going to still mean anything. I have a feeling probably not.
It's a nerf, but I think just the Xayah Rakan power and kind of Comet Varus being the only meta answer to Xayah Rakan means that those two are going to be in high demand. I want to see them open Atlas because guess what? It's the first time the Gen.G skins are available.
Yeah.
So we would love to see Gen.G lock in the Gnar for Cuvée. The Ezreal, I guess, is a backup. It's Haru's champion, but I'm sure Ruler can pull it off. I want to see some Gen.G skins today. The Samsung Galaxy skins from Worlds last year, because we're on 8.14, are available today. I'm sure they would love to find some Taliyah or Gnar. In fact, a lot of those champions are meta right now. So who knows what can happen. But in the jungle, we will have Ambition versus Trick. Trick has been really good in the second round robin, and his best performing champion has been the Kindred.
And we've got the 2 players that are the best at taking damage as well. Absolutely love that stat because it's because Trick has been getting pounded game after game, whereas Ambition just likes to play big burly tanks and soak the damage.
And he likes to just roll up to lane, not gank, order the turret a couple of times, and he takes a bit of damage and he says, yeah, I'm a hard man, I don't care about you. It's all about the pushing in the bot lane. Imagine Ambition will continue to path around bot lane and just let them bot the turret a little bit more and get the bot lane out of lane first. That's how Gen.G like to play, with an advantage around Core JJ and Ruler. Kindred has been allowing Trick to mop up a lot of very good stuff around the map. He's been very on point with his positioning, both offensively and defensively on that Kindred. The fans are going to be on the side of Gen.G to the tune of 86%.
Yeah, that is pretty ridiculous. Close to 90% in favor of Gen.G. Makes a hell of a lot of sense. We've got almost our top team versus our definite bottom team here in the LCK. So you can understand the fans not going to be in the BBQ hype train just yet, but I'm feeling that there is potential upset in the waters, and can BBQ actually find themselves some of these votes in their next matchup? Because if they're able to win here, you can imagine the fans will be back on board.
I'm peering into the crowd. I see some Gen.G fans with BBQ Chicken, so I'm sure there's some potential turncoats here. If you have a big game while you're enjoying BBQ Chicken, maybe you find yourself a new fan.
Exactly. It's a very, very tasty victory indeed, if it is going to be for the BBQ Olivers, but we'll have to see what happens in the drafting phase. BBQ will be starting off on our blue side. We've seen blue side picking up a few more of the victories because priority pick has felt a little bit better these days, and being able to have more flexibility in bans is also a great way to take on a lot of these top teams. We know that focusing on a single player has been a great way to secure those wins, and Gen.G have some thin champion pools like you've been talking about.
I see on the blue side if it's bot lane bans as it was in the past, so if it'll be a change. Coach is starting to come into the booth. There's Eris on your right. Ready to get going for this BBQ versus Gen.G match. We started a bit early to give the patch notes, so we're just before 5 p.m. Korean Standard Time. I hope we start early, Atlas, because if I've learned anything, we can go late into the night. We were still casting at after midnight yesterday. I'm ready for another 6 games today. Let's keep rolling on. 6 games every day with only 7 days left of the LCK. We end next Thursday. Here we go for the first game of the day.
Yep, BBQ versus Gen.G. So let's get into champion select. And as we were talking about, 80 carry bans coming in here to start things off against Gen.G. BBQ not going to be pulling any punches when it comes to rulers. Ezreal, as Aatrox, of course, going to be taken away here by Gen.G first round. There's
a great stat on Reddit that Ezreal has lost 13 games in a row in the NALCS, but in Korea, Ezreal has been the big ticket pick. I think there was some really good discussion in the thread because Ezreal, every single AD carry I talked to, loves Ezreal, has played it their entire career, has been their most played before they were pro player. Ezreal and the ability to express skill with an entirely skill shot-based champion has always been insanely popular in Korea. We have fantastic Ezreal players, Ruler among them, so that's why it sees the ban.
Yep. Going to be taken away Zoe as well, and Taliyah understandably going to be taken away here, but definitely deviating away from that AD carry position into the mid lane. Fly getting a little bit of attention, and of course his Galio massive win rate on that champion at the moment.
Yet they show no priority for it.
Yeah,
So
they really don't. It's really odd.
it's one of those bans where if you told Fly he was 7-0 Galio, he probably wouldn't know because they just pick their spots really well with it. I don't know if you need to ban on blue side. Also, there's the obvious meme about the Birdio skin not being available now. But the double bird ban!
Birdio ban, no! Oh, I'm so upset. And I even think that the pigeon emote for Azir is even better.
I feel like we've been denied a double rainbow with the both birds being banned away.
It's the full BBQ ban.
But Zyra Khan is open and the skins are available.
That's true, but also Trundle's available for Ambition.
But the Zyra Khan.
Yeah. But what has Gen.G always been, Papa Smithy? Anti-fun.
They do suck the fun out of the room sometimes, I must admit.
Well,
but they've gone for some power here. We will see the return of the Orianna. Imagining it's going to be mid lane, given, of course, the aversion to awesome dudes has been shown by Ruler in the bot lane. BBQ, considering their jungle pick, see how aggressive they want to get. The Kindred is open, could be considered here, but Orianna's very good compositionally into Kindred, so I think it will be a risk.
I do like Tahm Kench as a pick away from Core JJ. Going to be locking down the bottom lane here for Ghost and, of course, Ignar, but not necessarily feeling like an Ignar champion is the Tahm Kench.
He's been preferring it recently, trying to be playing around his duo laner more than just his engaged support of the day.
Yeah.
So I don't mind experimenting with Ghost finding more agency in a game.
When Alistair is left available, though, and Core JJ's been spamming it recently as well, would have liked to see Ignar pick up a champion that he's found fantastic success on, as we're having a look at Ivan for a long time. But Gragas is going to be the lock-in here, most likely for Trick.
When Trick's on the team, you have a good feeling they're going to stick around and hover that Ivern. The Ashe is locked in for Ruler in the bot lane. Ruler and Bang, both really prioritizing the Ashe recently, and it's got the strong laning phase, so whatever Varus you're against, whatever flavor it is, whether it's the Comet Varus or the on-hit Rageblade Varus, Ashe can lane very safely against it at 600 range, so going to go for that. Give some jungle pathing information as well. Probably going to be a Gragas jungle, I guess, here, because the support is already taken. Plenty of victories for Ignar. He's actually 3-4 on the Gragas, on a team that doesn't have a lot of victories. Gen.G say we'd like to play Gnar by banning away the Jace. The only pick that's working in Korea against the Gnar.
Yeah, that's certainly been a thin amount of picks that have been figuring their way through the matchup.
And Gnar could be, of course, the Gen.G skin.
Oh, and then the Jace. So the double Gnar picks. So Gen.G definitely looking to give Cube
I saw the
best
Jace.
lane
I already
possible.
knew it, baby. I didn't even need to know about the GP. They definitely want to pick Gnar. Also, it's Cube, so I'm no prophet over here.
No.
BBQ, do you have a different pick? Are you happy to pick Cho'Gath into Gnar? It's kind of the scenario you're at here. You could ban something else and just take Cho'Gath, which is one of Crazy's best picks.
I just feel like banning Gnar is a little bit too free right now, but Rakan is going to be the ban, so BBQ say, bring on the Gnar, we don't care.
It's going to be Cho'Gath versus Gnar. Yeah. You would have to imagine, unless Cube wants to show us something new on his side, they could go for the Ashe Alistair and lock in that Gnar later. Gnar is very obvious here for both sides, but it seems like Gen.G aren't actually going to show Gnar priority and also aren't going to show a Gen.G skin, if possible.
Playing a little bit of Gnar chicken here in our game number one. Crazy, probably going to be the first one to lock that one away because it does make a lot of sense. Gen.G gave them free bans when it comes to counter picks.
And he's going to use an old Aussie adage of yeah, nah.
Yeah, nah. Yeah, nah, I'll take that one away from you, mate. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, God.
Oh,
when he first came out, we overdid the yeah, nah.
And now we're bringing it back 3.5 years later.
Yeah. I mean, it made a little bit more sense then because we were commentating the Oceanic League. So,
look, people love our brash Aussieisms from what I understand. So we're just giving the people what they want.
Yep. So now going to be locked in.
I don't pick here. They already have a Tahm Kench, so you imagine this is going to be a mid lane champion. It's Azir is the obvious one here because Azir's banned away. So what is the new mid lane pick? Into Orianna, the Corky's been buffed.
Here we go.
Here we go.
The Gatling Gunner himself in the mid lane. The early game damage of that ability is busted at the moment. Getting so much shred. All right, of course, is the same in the late game, but we all know what Corky's capable of in the late game, so that's absolutely fine. I get to talk about power spikes forever, and Cube is going to take the losing matchup of the Cannon into Gnar, which has always been considered a good matchup, just based on history, hasn't been working. Gen.G trying to rewrite the script on that one, but damn, they've got some team fight power with the Slicing Maelstrom and the Shockwave.
And look, we know Cuvée knows Gnar inside and out, and Cannon is an old fallback for him. It's usually the on-hit, but I think AP has been the most reliable one against Gnar because it was AP Cannon into about 5 Gnar losses for the Cannon. The Cannon's been losing this matchup pretty frequently, like you mentioned, Atlas. Nice to see the return of the Corki. His level 1 is epically oppressive at the moment. It also gives you some information about why Trick was jumping onto the Gragas so early. Lets you know they couldn't go Kindred, would have been too squishy a lineup. They find a jungle tank, and that does open up the Corki for Tempt.
And of all time, any champion that Tempt has played more than 10 times, his Corki has the highest win rate. 60% over his career. He was basically a Corki one-trick when we were singing his praises early on in his career here in the LCK. So now, able to go back to some pretty severe comfort of old for the mid laner of BBQ. It's great news. Got a decent matchup into the Orianna as well. You can imagine a lot of farming, just sitting back, trying to get to power spike 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not sure whether you can get to 7 with only 6 item slots, but he might be able to do it.
No Samsung Galaxy skins, so I'm disappointed, Atlas, but the action could be thick and fast. I'm excited to see the Corki roll through the mid lane.
Me too. I'm excited to see what the team fights are going to look like as well, because a lot of power now given to Gen.G. Let's do it, guys. BBQ Olivers versus Gen.G.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
You can hear mostly Gen.G fans here in the Soli Stadium today, but like you were talking about before, Papa, they're eating the BBQ chicken. So we're going to get more people cheering for BBQ as the day goes on, because that chicken's really good. If you guys come here for a BBQ game, definitely grab some of the free chicken.
And there was a fan sign there talking about how handsome Fly is. He's definitely got a big fan base here in Korea.
No secret there either. As, it's the Ash dance party.
Yeah.
This is why this is my favorite Ash skin as well.
This reminds me of the Spo TV Champions League music.
Can we keep... Oh, no. I wanted to
turn
keep
the
game
audio
music
off.
on. Come on.
You have one job, OG.
If we're going to have a pause, you may as well let us dance party. Oh, this is really upsetting.
So we're getting the update from
Ooh,
Joel.
No.
Apparently there was a
Wrong
rune
runes.
setting issue that came through, so that may require
Crazy.
a partial remake. I wonder what that was related to. We're going to
Well,
find more information and give it to you, but for now, a game issue.
Well, I mean, Gnar can pick basically every rune. He's pretty good.
No, but they're saying like he chose a rune and didn't get it.
Yeah.
So this is probably going to be a bad thing. And now they're actually checking the tape. Clearly, it's crazy.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I really wanted Precision Tree. What
Yeah,
happened?
now he's like, oh no, I messed that one up. Oh god, that's what his face was telling me just then. Like he's realizing that, hang on, I just made an oopsie.
Well,
If you just make an oopsie, by the way, guys, generally you have to play with your whoopsie.
at least
that's how
these
that
days,
works.
rune issues are not as severe as back in the day.
Oh yeah,
Of
imagine
course-
if you accidentally, played Akali without your Akali runes.
Well, we haven't
back in
seen
the day.
someone who hasn't had any runes like we did. We've had professional players play without runes.
Yeah, I
a
remember
long
that.
time ago, Hotshot GG was the first one famously in the first ever NALCS series, I believe. Played with no runes for CLG, and then there has been one or two other times it's happened after the fact. You definitely know here because we've all played a solo queue game with someone who had no keystone.
Yeah.
Okay.
He mistakenly did it.
Oops,
So
an oopsie has been made.
It is definitely the whoopsie.
A confirmed whoopsie.
Not
Uh-oh.
oh no, it's the worst kind of whoopsie. It's the confirmed whoopsie.
Accidental whoopsies. You're like, oh, whoopsie.
Yeah,
but now you're like, oh,
You
whoopsie.
also want some ambiguity when it comes to your whoopsie, just so in case people can say not necessarily an actual whoopsie, we don't know, but we can confirm it's a whoopsie, and Crazy's going to be playing with his crazy whoopsie as well. You can see they didn't mess it up that badly, although Airy has it's definitely really standard. So
I actually
don't
would
know
like
what
to
the
see
problem
his
was.
runes. If he has mana flow ban, that'd be a bad time. He doesn't have mana flow ban. He's got the magic resist shield, which is useful.
Yeah.
I guess if we get the full rune page, maybe we'll be able to look at one and wag our fingers negatively at him.
Well, wagging your fingers negatively at Ruler is going to be a difficult one to do, as he's been pretty good. They're playing 80 carries recently, apart from that one opportunity to get caught against Griffin that lost them the series.
So let's talk about some actual related to runes. Just in this case, the summoners. Notice that BBQ are running triple teleport, but Gen.G are only running one. Ruler is running combat summoners in the bot. He does this quite a lot to try to win the 2v2 harder. Getting the official information here that it was actually the secondary precision is around where the problem is, so the airy part is normal for Crazy.
Yeah, not wanting to go into precision.
Or maybe the precision choices were not 100% clear, but it is the combat summoner from Ruler. Basically, if Ruler doesn't get a support or an 80 carry counter pick in terms of matchup, he'll usually take summoner heal just to win the 2v2. And Ashe versus Varus obviously is a pretty competitive one where there's no true counter pick between the two. The heal on Fly is also a choice here. Teleport nerf is live. We're on patch 8.14 today, and we get that confirmation that this season, the Gnar has actually been beating Cannon pretty reliably. I believe the one victory was an AP Cannon. Maybe wrong on that one, but it's been 80 Cannon through and through recently. Gen.G's comp here, if you guys wonder what it's going to do. We see Ambition will pick up level 3 from the Gromp. Gen.G want to get a lead for Cuvée, have him split push and beat Gnar in the side lane, and they have just about the safest 4 in a 4-1 comp where Orianna Ashe have long range, shielding, and also movement speed to disengage, the Trundle Pillar to disengage. They roll up around mid lane while Gnar has no pressure in top as Cannon is pushing him in. That's how Gen.G want to play it out, because if you're going 80 Cannon, you're not about the team fights.
Yeah, and this is exactly what we saw out of MVP, and they almost made it work as well in their last series. A2D making his re-debut after some health issues and did play a pretty beautiful Cannon game, to be honest, despite the loss. His Ambition looking for a very early level 3 gank. He's going to make his way in. It's really good positioning. There's the headbutt. Flash pole to come in from CoreJJ. Gets the stun onto Ignar, who uses the flash, but Pillar's held for so long. Grey Health will keep Ignar alive for a while, but all of them just kiting this one forward. Ruler wants the auto, gets it, and first blood goes over to Gen.G.
It was a really close one, Atlas. That last auto may not have killed, just about, probably overkill by about 5 health.
Yeah.
They pick up the kill there. The stuns were so well done. The taxi W into Flash Q, eventually being able to keep them around for long enough. Gen.G take down Ignar. Nice little lead. Ignar has gone Guardian this game, so that was even extra tankiness on the all-in. But it means he doesn't have a teleport. He has to walk to lane.
Yep. Not going to have the availability of the spellbook, which is what you were alluding to there, Pupper, of course.
Wow.
Thankfully, Ghost kept his flash, so that's good news. But Ruler on the other side also didn't have to flash to get that last auto. His Trick going to try and deny a little bit here, but Ambition's pretty comfortable, given the fact that he was able to help grab that first blood, despite being behind a level.
And these runes are definitely counter expectation. We've saw basically only melee supports with Unsealed Spellbook. Neither taking Unsealed Spellbook this game.
Yeah.
Trick rolls through, but no gank pressure there onto Fly as he's already started to pull away. But yeah, no Unsealed Spellbook. For once, the smite should be very clear in a team fight.
Yeah, there we go. And also no Cho'Gath as well, so we could have like some full 50-50s.
Nice, honest League of Legends.
Here we go. Perfect. Score would like to be in this game to try and get back his smite prowess in a true 50-50 smite situation.
He just needs to hit a 50-50 smite in the final. That's what he needs to do.
He does.
Otherwise, the 2 HP meme will live forever.
Or he needs to do it on 1 HP to upgrade his meme.
Is that an upgrade?
Well, I mean, yeah, it depends which way you're looking at it.
Exactly.
I'm a cup half full kind of guy, though. As you can see BBQ continuing to shove things forward, given the fact that Ghost was able to stay alive and kept that summoner. He's still been able to stay very, very relevant in this lane and utilizing the teleport to get himself back. So does have Corrupting Potion, which is we've seen a little bit more of, as Cuvée showing that, yes, Cannon can win this matchup, just not necessarily winning the games.
I mean, that was just pretty poor laning by Crazy. Don't take standing trades against press the attack if you have Summoner Airy.
Triumphant Coup de Grace. That's absolutely... Coup de Grace? Sorry, Coup de Grace. Oh, man, I've been reading it too much. It's Coup de Grace going to be taken here by Crazy. Understandable stuff here. So I think the precision option was fine. Well, what else are you going to do?
Look, you just want the player to have the runes he's most comfortable and practiced on, right? So not 100% clear where he would have gone instead. Maybe more defensively. Maybe it should have been Resolve second to get through a tricky matchup against the Cannon.
I think Boneplate and Chrysalis would have been pretty good.
And that's kind of the thing is, again, we're talking about how Gnar has been beating Cannon this season. And you think about, okay, well, what's changed? Runes and the rune choices is something that has evolved over time. I didn't think it was possible to miss that CS.
How do you miss a house?
Crazy does surprise us from time to time.
He throws a house at a little minion and still manages to miss. That is the most wrong.
The point I'm getting to is that Resolve Tree and its power level has adjusted since the last time that Nara vs. Kennen was a thing. Maybe that's the reason the Nara is doing better, that he can stay more competitive earlier. So not having the ideal rune page could actually tip the matchup. There's Trick and Ambition having a little party.
Yeah, and Ambition doesn't have the pillar available as Fly's getting bullied out by Attempt. It's a fight on multiple fronts, but Crazy's going to get the rotation first and decides that he just wants to help take down this Rift Scuttler. Gen.G bullied out of the river by BBQ.
If they can hit their timings, there's so much damage coming from Trinity Force onto Tempt. Looking like it's going to be Lethality Varus here. We do notice that the Arcane Common is there, but notice no Manamune started just yet. Would imagine you would take that from bot lane. When we saw mid lane from Yukal, of course, he could just pick up the blue buff. But in a game like this, with no Manamune coming out just yet, might just be very low mana pool for Ghost.
Well, it might be the laning option here, as you're going to have to hold that thought for a moment. Okay, the stun is going to come down onto Crazy, tanking the turret there as well, which I think he was trying to avoid, given the fact that he jumped in, but did manage to get the AoE on top of Cuvée, so picked up that turret aggro. All right, holds on to the ultimate for now, but that dive did not work, as Ambition had good positioning.
It's actually really poor turret dive timing. They have double control wards. They said, okay, we know they're not there. But they have literally no deep vision on camps. They had no idea where Ambition was. Can't be that brazen as we see an ult bot lane.
Yeah, speaking of brazen, we've got Chains of Corruption coming down, but Ruler just going to pop that Q, try and get some damage back, and does so very easily. Hail of Arrows ignored by the Gen.G bottom lane. It's CoreJJ just being that bodyguard cow.
Very hard to win that trade against Summoner Heal as well. So if it's a damage trade, it goes about even. Ruler and CoreJJ are going to be able to load up again. Ignar will have his flash, as will CoreJJ in about 5 to 10 seconds. But the all-in onto Ruler with his heal advantage, probably not advised.
Well, package availability is something that we've got to talk about as well, as Corky's back in the game. The Comet going to knock CoreJJ down to about 400 health, so he's certainly in kill range, but not going to die this time. Control Ward going to be cleared by Trick, but his position given away by that one as well.
Corky power level as the game goes on hasn't been changed. Just itemization. Can go Stormrazor second. That could be a pretty viable choice, but we did not see that the last time. Kuro actually played a Corky game on 8-13 last week. So
yeah, he did.
We'll wait and see if we see the Stormrazor today. Would be two very high power items paired together.
Last time around, I believe it was Trinity Force in Rapid Fire Cannon, and I don't know whether we managed to build any more items after that, because I think they lost the game. So,
but Infinity Edge, Play the Ruin King, these have all been situational items for the Corky. I imagine IE would be the way after the Rapid Fire Cannon, but Blade against a tanky team could be considered. Wait and see if the Stormrazor is adopted in this one. Will be a lot of burst, that's for sure.
Yep. The only thing that we can be sure of is the Trinity Force as item number 1. Always has been, always will be. That is the Corky item, is Cuvée going very aggressive against Crazy, knowing that he wins this trade. Press the attack, helping out there as well. Not a lot of Narbar, though, as Gen.G. Cuvé's just going to eat through his refillable potion.
Yeah, it was the level 1 buff to Gatling Gun. It does shred more in the early game. By the time you have 5 points in Gatling Gun, he's the exact same champion in terms of kind of direct balance power level.
Yep.
So just the takeaway there is better in the laning phase. Not so relevant against Ori because she has the long range and can stay away from the Gatling Gun, but there will certainly be some matchups that are now more Corky favored. This one, just a pretty safe one.
Yeah, and also you're going to be maxing the Gatling Gun second, so I guess you're not going to get to 3 points until about level 13, something like that. So it certainly is very relevant in the first, say, 17 minutes of the game or something like that.
Now, if you want to go and be a mad scientist in solo queue, I think Corky against Darius would be a very nice top lane matchup.
Oh, yeah.
You can keep distance against him. The Vayne versus Darius is always a Darius counter pick. Against some of those top laners, having an oppressive E level 1, and you level 1 trade against a melee top laner a lot more, is actually very useful. So, again, it's a pretty edge case. We probably won't see it in pro play in Korea, but top lane Corky has always been an edge and meta pick, and I think it is a lot better because of that E buff.
I also do like to trust the Papa Smithy edge choices in solo queue as well.
I like to live on the edge.
Yeah, you have some mad scientist ideas, and they certainly do tend to work out. Last time I took your advice, it was Vi, and yeah, I did a lot of winning.
Well, Vi's freelo in mid-range elo at the moment with the very short ult cooldown.
Yeah, he's real good.
One day, we're going to see her in the LCK. Who's our resident Vi player, do you think?
Who would be a Vi player?
I'm thinking about junglers.
Yeah.
Who do I see as Vi? Haru.
Oh, yeah, Spirit as well.
Yeah, Spirit and Haru.
Yeah. Makes some sense. As Tempt didn't find an opportunity to utilize his package and is just going to throw it down in the mid lane. Shout out to Brendan Valdez.
Well, we don't talk about package size here. Only he can rate how big.
I know. I find it a little bit unfortunate that we're not qualified to really talk about Corki properly.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can talk about his spikes, though. That's your thing.
Yep. Yeah, I'm about spiky Corki. He's about package Corki.
Well, everyone's got their thing, you know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'm skin choice for Corki.
Yeah, and what's your favorite?
I'm definitely a huge fan. I'll hold the point for now as Trick.
Yep, he's going to have to flash. The arrow is going to pierce the heavens, but not the Gragas.
I'm Red Baron Corki. That's where I'm at.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. I was very sad when they took the Iron Crosses away, but they brought them back, so
Yeah.
never mind.
It's like the cigar.
Also
Always comes
back.
back in the end, exactly.
Memes destroyed, cigars returned. How do people have things against League of Legends? It's great.
Exactly right. You complain, and then you get stuff back. That's the rule.
That's the way it should be.
Exactly.
Customers always right.
Well, as everything stands at the moment, guys, First Blood has gone down, but otherwise not too much more. We're considering a dragon here for Gen.G on the bottom side. They've got a slight lead, but slight is definitely the call as Chains of Corruption come down, Core JJ. Early ultimate coming in here as Ignar's just going to eat the cow. Throws him back, not going to have that ult for much longer, but they're looking to turn it onto Ignar. Has to use his stopwatch, but mate, you are very, very dead. Fly's going to get down on Ambition. Just going to eat the catfish. Ignar, a little bit overly aggressive there on the Tahm Kench.
BBQ not playing to their vision a second time. We saw the aborted dive in topside. They make the same play here. There's double control ward bot. Again, we mentioned the summoner spell choice of heal. All in like that play isn't going to work, so easily turned upon is the Tahm Kench, and the more worrying thing is they give away the Drake control as well.
Well, Crazy is at least going to be able to take a red buff, but is he going to be able to get away with his life? Oh no, that feels bad. He's just going to flash back over the wall, and QV doesn't have his flash to follow.
Yeah, trade of summoners, and that means there's no all-in options for QV now with his ult on cooldown. Crazy goes back to lane. All in all, you'll take that as BBQ on the top side, but the bot side, definitely a relative disaster with the Drake going away for free.
Yeah, things looking a little bit top-heavy here, but this is where you want things to be going in your favor. When, of course, the laning phase for the Gnar, not great into the cannon, regardless of what the win rate is. So good news for BBQ, getting advantages where they need advantages, and now Rift Herald should go over to them as well, and if they can get first turret, they should be able to get themselves back into the gold game very, very evenly here against Gen.G in the mid game.
Ghost has gone for the Yomu's Rush. We mentioned no tier. At this point, when he's gone Mercs as well, probably never going to be a tier Atlas, and that means that when this 4-1 starts, if the cannon is winning, it's okay then, Tempt. All right, well, but
Nerf's got a bit of a headache now.
If Ken starts winning, now they don't have mana to just poke down minion waves with Q as Ghost, and that could actually be a real problem for the side of BBQ if it's a very extended 4-1. And if you're drafting like this as Gen.G, I think that's exactly what you want. So I would have really preferred to see the Manamune here. Ghost is stronger in lane with this choice, but the two times they've tried to make something of that, they've actually gone against the side of BBQ as the heal summoner on Ruler was enough. So let's see what this means for the mid game. It does mean that right now, inarguably, Yomu's done, Triforce done. Item-wise, you're feeling really good as BBQ.
Yeah, but what are BBQ going to fight around? They've already taken the Rift Herald. They can now use Shelly where they want to. Tempt is the one that actually picked up that buff. And you mentioned, you know, of course, one item power spike, certainly much better if you're not stacking that tier. I would have liked to see Ghost go serrated Dirk, then into tier, something like that. Delay it a little bit to try and get yourself some lane control, and then still go into the tier. He doesn't. As you can see, the Ghost Blade is already done. But can they utilize these early power spikes that they've got in their single items? First look says that no is going to be the answer, as Gen.G still ahead, still with control, and still with some item timings of their own.
And also, if I reason it, I'll say no also based on what they've done this game, because when they've chosen to be aggressive, it's been the wrong time, twice. Top lane, they didn't have the deep vision, went for a dive, that got turned around. Bot lane, they tried to make a pick, it was the wrong time. So your thought is, a team that's likely to mismanage power spikes is more going to be BBQ as a 10th place team, but also based on what we've seen this game, they've been, you know, kind of the right person at the wrong time multiple times this game, and if that continues to happen, 3 items on the Ori, the cannon eventually will start winning this Gnar matchup. That's where things could go really wrong for BBQ.
And you can see, Gen.G, based on their vision, they're certainly looking to try and put a lot of pressure here towards the bottom side of the map. They've snuck a little control ward into that tri-brush of BBQ, but otherwise has been an opportunity here for Gen.G to offer more pressure. Topside is where Tempt is poking his nose and might actually be able to get first turret here. Shelly was being considered by the Corki, but probably doesn't need it. This package comes back once again, so able to roam very effectively with that extra movement speed on the side of the Corki.
Gen.G pretty dogged about putting down deep vision, controlling the bot side, trying to set up for first break that first turret blood in the bot lane, and then fall back to an Infernal.
They are showing us exactly where they want to be putting their pressure, and also showing BBQ as well, given the focus of all of this vision bottom side. You can see how deep that vision is as well. They are still going to lose this top lane outer turret, so tempo advantage over to BBQ when it comes to making that first move. Tempt also, a lot of control here in this mid lane now that he's got his first item spike. As Trick, getting aggressive onto Ambition. Takes about half of his health bar, but remember, sitting on Subjugate, so can always get a bunch of that health back.
Very nice little ward spot there, actually put down by Ignar, I believe, between the brush and also the tri-brush. Means they will get a spotting on CoreJJ. Has been roaming for vision around that red as much as possible. Solo gold on Dinar will delay the time by which Kennen can win the 1v1 even further, Atlas. So the 4-1 plan for Gen.G is being delayed. Fly doesn't actually go for the QR play, and they're too late on it.
Oh, yeah. Had to throw it from the river, so not going to be able to find it there is Ruler. And now the fight is on. Shelly's going to get her charge. Not going to take down the turret here, as her eye's going to be poked, and Shelly's going to fall. But Gen.G behind the play here in this early game. We're used to talking about that, but not how they want this game to go, because the scaling options for BBQ are fine. Of course, when you've got an on-hit cannon, you're looking to try and get more control in the earlier stages of the game, and BBQ, they've got a great team fight moving forward, and their damage spread is beautiful given the fact that they've got regular 80 carry plus a Corki. It's exactly what you want for consistent damage of both fronts in the late game.
We outlined how the ideal way the game played out for Gen.G would be all about getting Kennen oppressive in the 1v1 and then having the safest ever 4 in the mid lane with Trundle and Trundle's ability to disengage, and Orianna and Ashe for safe poke and wave clear. If Cuvée gives up 600 gold for that solo first brick turret on the top side, his time to actually win the lane gets later and later. Gen.G might just win team fights because they're a better team than BBQ, but that's not what you really want to train when you're Gen.G. You're training for best of fives, you're training for facing the top teams. The ordered way to win this game may have to be abandoned, or they might have to wait for Cuvée to hit 3 or 4 items and continue to exclusively build for lane.
Well, he's going to pick up his Durham's Fist of his own now as well, so it looks like he's going to hold off on the damage a little bit after this Blade of the Ruined King is completed and go towards a Frozen Mallet himself. Couldn't imagine a Steric's Gauge would come in from a cannon, so that would make a lot of sense if you were going to go for the Frozy Mallet. Gen.G thinking about their second dragon here, as it is going to be the Infernal. Great dragon choice, but BBQ don't want to give this one up without a fight. No package available for Tempt as CoreJJ getting pressured out. It is just going to be the dragon taken as Ambition will throw the pillar in. They're looking for the fight. Body slam gets Trick out of the way, but CoreJJ, he's in an aggressive position. Ignar just going to eat up the Corki, and he gets a good backline position here as well in this fight. Explosive Cask is a doozy from Trick, and that is going to be a free disengage here for Gen.G.
The disengage at the start from BBQ was excellent to not be hit by any of the engage. A turn ultimate from there, and it would have been a kill for BBQ, but they missed the ultimate from Gragas. That really counts against them. They should have been more confident in their damage at this point. They are very strong at the moment, BBQ, after disengaging all of the Gen.G attempts.
It's exactly when they want to be fighting as well. I mean, Tempt, he's got the Sorcerer Shoes there as well. We've got a second Serrated Dirk onto Ghost, and he had a mana pool for that last fight. I think you're exactly right, Papa. Missed opportunity for BBQ, and they just give over a Drake in the end, and nothing else really is gained. And it's a problem for BBQ, unable to really make these assertive plays around this mid-game is hurting them, because their composition would be able to do it if they could execute.
Into the extended laning phase. Still laning at 20 minutes into the game. Really good interview with Piglet, actually, from Inven Global today, talking about his opinion of why Korean teams lost at Rift Rivals, talking about how Korean players only play up when their jungler is around and never play aggressive otherwise. And of course, Piglet was known as a dominant laner plenty of times. So it's very interesting to hear from Piglet about the tendencies. This is another passive game. Gen.G chief offenders of the passive game scenario.
Also giving away a little bit too much information with the fact that everyone just plays too passively until they definitely have an advantage, and then it's
if
only
you always only play up when the jungler is there,
Exactly.
then the enemy knows when the jungler is there. So that's why we've had players who've bucked that trend. FLICKR, for example, known for playing aggressive even when his jungler wasn't there. I'd say BDD, at his best, also able to do that. A trend we want to see. We want to see teams able to circumvent some of these very slow early games, like this one where we have 2 kills at 20 minutes, but Gen.G and BBQ probably not the teams to look for in that regard.
Yeah, I feel like we're focusing on the wrong teams here, but at the moment this game is extraordinarily close, Poppy. You can see bottom lane, about nothing in it as this minion wave is going to get eaten up, and that is going to be exactly 221 apiece here for our 2 marksmen with their bows and arrows, in the mid lane as well. Very, very close as the Orianna pushes the way forward, and that is going to be evened out by Tempt. And in an all gold is equal type game, I really like how BBQ looks with their composition. Yes, they haven't been able to execute so far on what their comp wants to be doing, but things are still extremely close, and BBQ do have that lead given the first Tower of Blood going down on the top side in favor of the Gnar.
I'm honestly pretty disappointed with how Gen.G have played out this game. They've been unable to set up around Cuvée, and that was their most reliable win condition. If they just use this opportunity to have a 35-minute bot lane laning phase, just to get enough items and then win a team fight because they're a better team, it doesn't really increase my confidence in Gen.G going on and playing better teams into best of 5. So while they may still win because they've been able to make this game a 3-item carry, let's win a team fight 5v5,
yeah,
they could have played this game out significantly differently. And given that right now we're very much more than one eye on playoffs, the playoffs start in less than 2 weeks, going blow for blow with BBQ 23 minutes in, not really the best sign for Gen.G.
No, it's not giving you all of that confidence, as now Gen.G are going to make a proactive play here towards the bottom side. Ambition throws in the pillar, but Ruler can't get the auto attacks on this turret, and Ghost has a lot of instant wave clear given this build. We'll have his Duskblade of Drakthar very soon, unless he wants another Ghostblade. But no, it's not going to be the case. So Duskblade going to be pretty powerful second choice here.
He does a lot of damage for a short window, right? He's got kind of 3 rotations of Qs and then runs out of mana. So we'll see if he's going to be able to actually leverage that. Game hasn't turned into the 4-1 just yet as Ruler and Ignar. A lot of free damage.
Yeah, Arrow is going to fly forward as the Grey Health is eaten very early, but that does save the life of the Tahm Kench. Ghost unable to get enough damage back, but has to use his ultimate. They trade once again, as our marksmen don't have R buttons available. 5 minutes into this game, Core JJ at about half health, but not too worried about it. Ambition still just boosting his damage taken stat over and over again. Gen.G finally, with some spare time on this bottom outer turret, will be able to even up that turret score, but we got pings down to the mid lane. BBQ might be able to actually get something here, as that turret is still very low. Solo local gold going to go over to Ruler. He wants to be building towards probably a QSS before going for his Infinity Edge. Unless he decides not to. Not a lot to QSS here this game, but Chains of Corruption are going to land. The Ashe probably wants to get rid of it.
Definitely the sort of game that rewards scaling because of how inactive it's been early in the game. I believe a cannon minion was missed there. Shame on you, Tempt. There was actually a lot of cannon minions. It was the day of life yesterday for cannon minions. They were living. They were not dying at the hands of those evil summoners yesterday.
Yep. And predictably, Ruler's going to go back and does pick up that QSS that we were talking about.
Ooh, Trick's going for a fancy build.
Oh, here we go. You were talking about this yesterday, actually, with talking about Spirit possibly going towards something like that if he is able to continue playing his AP Gragas. It wasn't playing yesterday, of course, but okay. Proto Belt Gragas coming in here for Trick. We've got 2-item Spike on the Corki as well.
I wonder when you flash, and I wonder when you Proto Belt, when you have Proto Belt, because there's a lot of lockout abilities, right? The famous one that Galio can't use Proto Belt while he's taunting. We had the AP Galios picking up that item. Lava was the first one. We'll see what the skill order is here for Trick with the Proto Belt.
I believe you body slam, flash, and then you can Proto Belt for the extra damage afterwards.
But then you lose out stun timing, so maybe you miss your ult. I'm not 100% clear where the combo is. Maybe Trick can show us.
Yeah. It's up to him, as Ward is going to be cleared here by Ambition, but Tempt is just going to wander past him. We're looking for our next Infernal Drake here on the side of Gen.G, but BBQ, they do not want to give this one up without a fight. Plenty of damage available from Trick. They've got the items, but they're just not going to go for the battle.
Don't have the vision control to be able to make a flanking play. They need the Gragas to find a cask he wasn't going to find. Just a freebie for the side of Gen.G, and BBQ don't really trade it for anything. Here we go.
Oh, Shockwave going to come in. It's going to deny the arrow, but it lands onto Ignar. Headbutt Pulv, and Ruler is going to pick up that kill so easily. It's like you've heralded it at Papa Smithy. Gen.G just team fighting and playing better, and it means that despite compositions, they're still looking at a win.
It's going to run at the Baron. There's no enemy smites. They started up. There is no unsealed spellbook either, and if it was to be Ignar, he's dead anyway. They start this one up. What can BBQ do? They have harass, but they have to commit soon.
Yep, Hawkshot is going to come in. You can see Core.JJ unseen on the backline, wants to try and find this. Slicing Maelstrom going to be used as crazy. He's real big, but he's not going to do enough damage to outsmite here against Ambition. Ignite still ticking onto Ghost, but it's not going to be enough to tempt. Tries to get out of this one, and BBQ, they go for the desperation stop on the Baron, but Gen.G won't have it. They got 4 kills to nothing. The headbutt Pulv is going to get rid of the Varus. It's a disaster for BBQ. And Tempt, yes, he'll take an outer turret in the mid lane, but that is a consolation prize if ever I've seen one.
Gen.G know their own strength at certain item timings. Better than most teams, they get there in a very non-interactive game. And then a moment like this happens. Trick gets interrupted out of the body slam. Probably should have used the Protobell or the Flash to try to get away from the Shockwave, but he's too slow on that one, Atlas. That means he goes down. Ignar dies next to him. EU imports die, so does the Baron, and now Gen.G have a huge, maybe unassailable lead in game number 1.
Yeah, this is gigantic. You can see Ruler, he says that he just wants to win the game as well. He's going for Guardian Angel as item number 3. Already has his stopwatch and a chain vest there. To the tune of that one is Cuvée. Remember, he eats through turrets. He's gone Rageblade this game as his 2.5 item after his Durham's Fist that he picked up early on. And Gen.G mowing down these structures. Cuvée still wanting more as the arrow is going to fly in, but that was actually really nicely done to make sure they couldn't follow him through the small corridor. Gen.G keep everyone alive. We've even got a cannon minion here backing up this siege in the mid lane. Ruler taking the turret.
Atlas, they wanted this. They had to get there eventually. The Rageblade was delayed. Now the cannon wins the trades against the Nab, but it doesn't matter because they got the Baron as well. A bonus that makes the play oh so straightforward.
Yep, and then there's a beautiful minion wave that they prepared earlier on the bottom side. Cuvée continues to shove this wave in on the top side of the map. The pressure feels like it's getting too much here for BBQ, and all of a sudden in a game that was never more than 1,000 gold one way or the other, turns into a game that's 6,000 in the lead for Gen.G, and that's only going to increase. Baron's available for another 1.5 minutes as they're looking for their second inhibitor here on the bottom side.
G roll up. What can BBQ hope to do? The cask of life needs to come out from Trick. But now just going to be rolling the barrels.
And it's so sad. I just really liked what BBQ had available to them, but unable to find the mechanical outplay here against Gen.G, who've just been playing Gen.G League of Legends, and they're not getting punished for it whatsoever.
But, I mean, think about earlier, Atlas. They had invitations to make plays, but they were a bit lazy in their execution. That's not really about the micro. That's about the macro to me. The timings were off. Yeah. And now it doesn't feel like there's really anything they can do. Everywhere on the map, they are taking the brunt of the Gen.G aggression.
Yep, Cuvée going to be able to take down the second inhibitor. As here's, we've got the dive. Core.JJ jumps forward. Does have the ultimate available, but look at this. The stun lands onto the Meganar on the back of the fight, and Crazy's just going to get exhausted. They lose their last inhibitor. They're not going to have any of that re-engage potential of the Meganar, and now Super Creeps are coming from 3 lanes, and Gen.G have got one hell of a coin purse to spend when they go back to the shop.
And games like this are a reminder of why Gen.G have had one of our shorter average game times, even though they're most famous for their long games. Because they've always gone marksman, their ability to close games is really good. Closing games in marksman is way easier than with the awesome dudes who struggle to take an objective like the Baron. If you had a Swain on your side, not an Ashe, when you got those 2 picks in mid lane, the Baron would have been very tricky to get. You wouldn't have had the speed to be able to kill it fast enough. But they're very experienced in closing games with an advantage. They could just waited till 23 minutes, then got an advantage around 25, and then the game should end around the 32-33. That's how Gen.G play. BBQ had their windows, couldn't use them. Now that window is shut.
Yep. It's just a little bit sad. It's always so projected when it comes to Gen.G. They're going to play a Gen.G game of League of Legends. No matter what, this one's a little bit more of the 4-1 flavor, not the team fight flavor that we see out of Gen.G, but Juve has been making this cannon work really, really nicely. It's the other side of the playbook here for Gen.G as well, as he bought a Bloodthirst. Yeah, indicating that wants to be
Holy
proper.
crap.
And that's one hell of a power play. It's looking like the end of the game here as well, as Gen.G just crashing forward with all of these super creeps.
Biggest one we've seen so far this season, 5,800 gold power play. That's because they did nothing before they got the Baron, and then they won the game with the Baron.
Yep. Now the flash is going to come in from Trick. Tried to deliver fly, but he just sets up the hula hoop on top of his head and is just going to walk out of there. Does take down the Gragas himself as the arrow takes down Ignar. Tempt trying to go up against Ambition here, but the last remaining Nexus turret will fall, and Gen.G, in the most Gen.G game that we've ever seen, dispatch BBQ.
Very straightforward game from Gen.G. You can't help but think against stronger opposition, they might have fallen in the early game, but maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe they wanted to just go for a very standard 2-0 victory, just get themselves up the top of the table. They can be second with a 2-0. They took no risks this game. BBQ made some mistakes, as you might expect from a 10th place team, and then it was well closed out in the space of about 5 minutes by Gen.G. Pre-32 after a night where we had a lot of close games, all of them going over 40 minutes. This one is a lot shorter. Gen.G are better than BBQ, and BBQ Olivers will need to be more precise on their execution. Otherwise, you feel like you might get a second helping in game number 2.
Yeah, no surprises in this game. It did look like BBQ had answers in their composition that they drafted, but just not in the way they played out the game. You mentioned vision control really being what let them down in the early game, not having that macro necessarily, but still pointing the finger. You have to hold them accountable to an LCK level of game, and unfortunately for BBQ, they had the tools but just weren't able to utilize them.
BBQ played decently this game. They didn't make any big mistakes.
It wasn't a huge blunder, but it just wasn't capitalizing on advantages that we thought that they had in the mid game.
Biggest blunder was the Gragas being caught with his summoners up. Should have been able to respond to that faster. Didn't see that from Trick, and unfortunately the game ended in that passage. We hold Gen.G to higher standards, so we can still come away with this not having a new idea. It's nice to see the closeout fundamentals.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really help us understand how Gen.G will do against KT next time, or how they're doing against Kingzone next time. Maybe they don't need that. Maybe they're just happy. Maybe they're happy to just hide everything when it comes to strategies and close out games reliably.
We've seen that from Gen.G in the past as well, and in their next 2 matches, they're not going to need to worry about it. It's MVP and Jin one after the other here, as they've got the smoothest run towards playoffs that you could ever ask for, but upsets can certainly happen. We've already got Jin putting Griffin in their death note, as we're going to have a look at the damage done this game. Varus certainly able to poke people down, but we're used to that. You see lethality Varus, he's able to get damage across people, but it was all about this Ashe being able to win the last couple of fights that Gen.G looked for, and then close out the game.
And if you're going to be results-orientated, 2 turrets, a Rift Herald, that's all BBQ Olivers picked up. Everything else went to Gen.G, who just waited and waited until they knew it was the time to win.
Yeah, well, you have to remember, one of those 2 turrets was first turret as well, going solo over to the Gnar on the top side of the map. Was certainly a decent early game from BBQ. Can they capitalize on it with maybe a different draft in game number 2? We are going to go to a short break. When we come back, we will be able to find out whether it's Gen.G or BBQ that's going to be able to take this series.